The first bill, Delegate Tran. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I have before you, one quick second, please, House Bill 1531.
Go ahead.
This bill creates a civil penalty for anyone in the Commonwealth who uses bullhooks or a similar device to hurt or intimidate elephants. The bullhook is a heavy weapon with a sharp metal hook at the end. For visual reference, it looks like a fireplace poker, and I think one of our witnesses has an image to share with you. The bullhook is used to control elephants by making them fear anyone with a weapon. We often think of elephants as having very thick skin, but in some areas their skin are extremely sensitive, around their mouth and eyes, behind their ears, inside their trunk, and in tender spots under their chin and around their feet. The skin of baby elephant calves is much thinner than that of adult elephants, and that's at the age at which elephants are broken by striking fear into them with the bullhook. The handlers use the bullhook to inflict pain and punishment on captive elephants, and this pain causes them to fear the bullhook and to avoid anything that may cause it to be used on them. The Association of Zoos and Aquariums, the predominant zoo accreditation association, bans the use of bullhooks at facilities that seek to earn their accreditation. The AZA acknowledges that zoos do not need to use these methods, and when the AZA phased out the use of bullhooks, they released an internal poll of their zoos that showed about 80% of zoos didn't use bullhooks and instead used protected contact instead. In that case, there's always a barrier between handlers and animals, which creates much more safe spaces for both the people and the elephants. So the alternative is free contact, which puts humans and elephants at risk. I'm sure every member of this committee has heard that the Natural Bridge Zoo was recently raided by the Attorney General's office. That zoo was infamous for its use of bullhooks on their elephant, Asha. And while Asha was brought to Florida shortly before the raid, we want to make sure that any captive elephant in Virginia here while traveling through a circus, or if Asha returns, is not subject to a bullhook or similar device. I look forward to questions and discussion this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the subcommittee? Delegate Wilt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate, you said something about a visual of a bullhook?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think one of our witnesses would like to share that visual. So
if we can hang tight, if it's okay, Delegate, we'll do it during the testimony. Anything else? All right. So seeing no questions, we're going to do 2 minutes of testimony for the bill, 2 minutes from anybody who's opposed to the bill, and then we will take any further questions from the committee. So if there are those here to testify on behalf of the bill, please come on up.
Good afternoon. My name is Daphne Nakminovich. I represent Norfolk-based People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals and our nearly 145,000 members and supporters in the Commonwealth. Here's a picture of the bullhook. I did bring a bullhook into the building with escorting from Capitol Police, but I think after that, the Capitol Police advised the delegate that she could not bring it into the room. So here's a photo. The late Sam Haddock, off and on between 1976 and 2005, worked as an elephant trainer for Ringling Brothers. Before she died, Mr. Haddock promised his wife, who never liked what elephants went through, that he would do the right thing, and he turned whistleblower and shared with PETA photos that he himself took of baby elephant training at Ringling. And you're looking at some of those photos here. Each of them shows you a bullhook. There are 3 of them. I have just 3 of them. He sent us more than that. The bullhook, Sam said, is designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to inflict pain and punishment. I should know. I used to make them. I built them to where you can't break them, no matter how hard you hit the elephant. As we've all heard, elephants never forget. Research shows that elephants are thoughtful, curious, and ponderous creatures and have large brains with a diverse collection of interconnected, complex neurons, the foundation of the elephant's sophisticated cognitive abilities, including social communication, tool construction and use, creative problem solving, empathy, and self-recognition. When what you see in these photos is done to them as babies, freshly and prematurely taken from their mothers, they never ever forget. One needn't beat them with this weapon in order to terrorize them. Merely seeing it is enough. They know what it is and the pain it can cause. There is no justification for using a weapon too dangerous to be permitted into this room to force elephants or any other animals to perform and exhibit behaviors they would never choose to engage in otherwise. Please vote to report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there anybody here to testify against the bill? And again, in interest of fairness, we'll have 2 minutes for those opposed to the bill. Sure, if you want to come up and just say who you are, just say who those are in support.
Yes.
Just say your name and organization that you support.
With the Richmond SPCA and the Virginia Federation of Humane Societies, and we also support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Susan Seward, Virginia Veterinary Medical Association. We also support the bill.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Rob Lineberger, Virginia Animal Control Association. We support it.
Thank you so much. All right. Is there anybody here to testify against the bill? Mr. Clerk, do we have anybody online to testify against the bill? For and against? All right. If we could go ahead and bring on for, and then if we could set the timer for 1 minute for online testimony. All right. Who do we have? I'm sorry. Okay, Ms. Leppert, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
You can, thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to comment on the proposed amendment for House Bill 1531. I'm Kristen Leppert, Program Director for Wildlife Accreditation with the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, often referred to as GFAS. We're a 501c3 nonprofit with 200 accredited sanctuaries, rescues, and centers in 18 countries. Our organization was founded to fulfill the need to differentiate and support sanctuaries that provide the highest quality of care for animals and also exhibit operational excellence in safety, financial, and governance practices. We speak today to express our enthusiastic support of House Bill 1531 and to urge its passage in order to promote increased animal well-being as well as human and animal safety. Our accredited elephant sanctuaries manage captive elephants with varied backgrounds of forced confinement, travel, performance, and display in circuses and zoos. Their life stories are replete with trauma induced by painful training methods, deprivation of natural behaviors, and other tactics. For elephants in our sanctuaries, they are cared for with compassion.
Thank you so much, Ms. Leppert. I really appreciate it. Thank you for participating in this. I think on the opposed, we have Ms. Murray. Ms. Murray, if you could go ahead and unmute.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. You have 1 minute if you're here to speak against the bill, is my understanding?
Yes, I'm here to speak against the bill. I'm going to try to go as fast as I can. My name's Lauren Murray, and I have about 22 years working in free contact with elephants. I am speaking against this bill. The wording in this bill is misleading in such a ridiculous way. Just in the wording alone, it says it's pain-inflicting training tool. This is not a pain-inflicting training tool. It is just a training tool. It is never meant to puncture or penetrate an elephant's skin, and I have 22 years of experience to back that up. I want to reiterate that this is also backed by multi-million-dollar animal rights groups. This bill is also targeting just one elephant. Her name is Asha, and she has spent her entire life in free contact. Humans have become her herd, and she is very attached to them. This bill would make it so she had to be in protected contact, meaning she has to be behind bars for the rest of her life with no interaction, and she would feel the punishment of something she has no idea of what's going on.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Murray. We appreciate it. I think that is it for our online testimony. We're back to the subcommittee. I don't see anybody in the queue. Were there any questions from the subcommittee? Seeing none, the committee operates by motion.
Motion to report and refer to appropriations?
I don't have a letter. It just needs to be reported.
To report.
Okay.
Second.
All right. It's been properly moved and seconded to report House Bill 1531. Clerk will open the rolls. All right, thank you. The clerk will close the rolls. House Bill 1531 reports on a vote of 6-2.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Thank you so much. All right, next up, so sorry. We have Delegate Ennis. All right. It's House Bill 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Thank you for having me here today. House Bill 9 will increase the hourly continuing training requirement for animal control officers from 15 hours to 24 hours every 3 years to match the updated animal control officer basic training hourly standard, which went from 92 to 120 hours. This bill was brought to me by the Virginia Animal Control Officers Association, which voted unanimously to increase and standardize the hourly training requirements for their profession. The 15 hours of continuing training has been in place since 1999 without an increase. Nearly all animal-related codes have been put in place or expanded since 1999. This increase would give officers the opportunity to receive updates on the law as well as best industry practices. It would also provide officers more opportunities for professional development and specialty training to ensure that they have the skills to meet the needs of their unique and challenging role. Specialty training could be in areas such as dog fighting, livestock, venomous snake safety, animal cruelty, which was recently updated to a felony, animal abandonment, and evidence collection. Any fiscal impact will be minimal on the localities. This is shown by the accompanying local fiscal impact statement. Virginia must keep up with the ever-changing and improving laws, technologies, tasks, and enforcement skills that is required by modern animal control officers. I hope it is the pleasure of the committee to report this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Delegate Ennis. Are there questions from the subcommittee? Delegate Glass.
Gratitude, Mr. Chair. So I'm looking at the fiscal impact, and it says it's undetermined based off of the locality. So do we, the fact that it says could be absorbed by current resources, is that across the Commonwealth, or is there certain localities that they're looking at that would be able to actually absorb?
The impact is very literally negligible. I do have a couple of particular impacts on some cities, and I can just give you a couple of examples. For example, Bedford's $1,800. That's just one example. A couple of cities here. City of Winchester, $5,400. Wise County, $1,000. Those are just a couple of examples. Very insignificant.
Follow-up question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Delegate Glass.
I'm wondering if VACO or VMLS have taken a position on this bill.
I can actually speak to that as well.
Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Cassidy Taylor on behalf of the City of Suffolk. VML and VACO have not taken a position that I am aware of. I spoke to both of them last week. But also, I just want to speak on the fiscal impact statement. We have free of charge trainings available on the Office of Veterinarian Services webpage. Right now, there are 3 different training opportunities that are online classes for free that offer 4 hours of training credits. And then there's one that's also 3 hours of training credits that is free online as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Delegate Wells.
If I could ask the presenter a question. No.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Can you just state your name? Can you state your name and the organization again for everybody?
Cassidy Taylor on behalf of the City of Suffolk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you have training modules. Can you tell us what those consist of?
Yeah, they're actually, they're all different. And they're all like ever changing. So like Delegate Ennis said, there are livestock trainings, vicious snake training, livestock, dog fighting, evidence collection as well. And they also offer like weapon training, ongoing training as well.
Thank you. I imagine that you were here to speak on behalf of the bill. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Did you want to go ahead and do that? If we can set the timer for 2 minutes, and then if there's anybody else to speak on behalf of the bill, we'll go ahead and take that testimony at this time. Is that okay, Delegate? All right. We'll go ahead and do that. Sure.
Mr. Chair, mine will be very quick. Cassidy Taylor, City of Suffolk, when we are in support of this bill. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, David Westcott on behalf of the City of Chesapeake, we also support the bill.
Thank you.
Rob Lineberger, Virginia Animal Control Association. I'm going to take a little bit longer. We support this bill. The training for animal control officers is mandatory in Virginia. I have done teachings all throughout the United States for animal control conferences, and we are fortunate in that Virginia does require training. I have been around long enough to see the training become mandatory because I started in 1991 when it wasn't. So 15 hours just translates to 5 hours per year. The 24-hour time frame would just be 1 day a year for 3 years. So it is so important for these animal control officers to get this training so that they can keep up with the trends that are basically outpacing us as far as what we need to do.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, sir.
So hearing just the bill itself and
Yes.
hearing your testimony today, what's to stop animal control officers from getting the training today if the localities want to give it to them?
They can do as much as they want. So, for example, my officers in Richmond, we're going to 40 hours of crisis intervention training. So mental health is a huge component of training that having the ability to get the credit for it would meet the requirements. So there's nothing stopping the animal control agencies from getting as much as they want. But we feel that 15 hours just is no longer sufficient because it's been 15 hours for 25 years. So in keeping up with the ACO basic that went up to 120 hours in 2021, the continuing education should also increase as well.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Tabitha Treelor for the Richmond SPCA. We support this bill, as does the Virginia Federation of Humane Societies. It's really important that our animal control officers across the Commonwealth are well trained to enforce the laws this body passes, and we do hope that you will move to report the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi again, Daphne Nakminovich with PETA, and I'll just affiliate myself with Tabitha and Rob's comments. Thank you. We support the bill.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody here opposed to the bill? My understanding of this sheet, which I'm still figuring out, is that we don't have anybody online. Did I get that right? Okay, nobody online for this bill. All right, Delegate Ennis, would you like to have the last word before I turn it over to the committee for questions?
I just thank the committee for listening, Mr. Chairman, and just hope that you guys will support this bill and pass it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Delegate. Any further questions from the committee? All right, the committee operates by motion.
Move to report.
Second. All right, there's been a motion to report that's been seconded.
I have a substitute motion.
Okay.
So can I speak to that motion, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead. What is the motion?
To continue the bill per Rule 22, to continue the bill to 2025.
Okay, go ahead.
Speaking to that is part of it, I feel like this bill is in the right place, spirited in the right place, but without at least something from VACO or VMLS saying that this is the direction that we need to go in and why. I think that there's some space to sort of bring some other stakeholders to the table. Also, just hearing the fact that they have access to this, and I think the last gentleman hit on it a little bit, that the continuing learning credits have gone up. So there needs to be an hour increase there. So I'm hoping that those stakeholders you can bring to the table with the bill so that it can be ready for us to actually move forward with it.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
All right, so there was a motion to report. It was seconded. There was a substitute motion, which is a priority motion to continue this bill to 2025. So we will take that motion first. This is a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion to continue this bill to 2025 will respond by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. All right, the ayes have it. The bill is continued to 2025. Thank you. Thank you, Delegate Ennis. House Bill 892, I do not, oh, you were here. All right, Delegate Bulova.
Thank you much, Mr. Chairman. I do have an amendment.
All right, can the clerk report the amendment, please? Could we?
Mr. Chairman, on line 187, introduced after agriculture, insert and forestal. On line 189, introduced after farmland, insert and forest land. Line 191, introduced after farmland, insert and forest land. Line 194, introduced after farmland, insert and forest land. Line 223, introduced after techniques, strike and. Line 224, introduced after matters, insert and Romanet 5, assistance in locating conservation programs aimed at improving water quality. On line 234, introduced after 11.1, we're striking the remainder of line 234 and through land on line 235. On line 258, introduced after program, we're inserting or Century Forest program. And after line 510, introduced, we're inserting a third enactment clause.
Thank you very much. Do we want to look at that amendment? Want to move the amendment?
Also moved.
The amendment's been moved, properly seconded. All those in favor of moving the amendment, so respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the amendment is before us. Go ahead, Delegate Boulevard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 892 has three primary components. The biggest one is that it transfers the Office of Farmland Preservation to VDACs, from VDACs to the Department of Forestry. Note that as we're doing that, the office also has responsibility for Virginia FarmLink Program, the Century Farm Program, and Virginia Farmland Preservation Fund. The next thing the bill does is it names kind of that consolidated office as the Office of Working Lands Preservation. And then finally, it moves the Agricultural Vitality Fund to the Department of Forestry, and that's the fund that receives proceeds from the agricultural specialty license plate. And so Delegate Wilt is giving me that "why are you doing this" look. Focus by why. So the reason why we're doing this is that actually the merger takes advantage of efficiencies given that both offices have similar programming and issues. And so by merging them, you actually create greater of economy of scale. And it actually provides our farmers and our foresters with a greater range of resources. And so each office right now, separately kind of operating in a silo, has their own strengths and weaknesses. But together, the office is actually much more robust and stronger in being able to provide services that are quite similar with respect to the people that they're meant to serve. The other reason for the merger is it actually makes it easier for other agencies like Virginia Cooperative Extension to reach out to these landowners to be able to provide educational workshops and technical assistance, again, because you're operating under one staff infrastructure. The amendment that you adopted clarified some language that was in the original. But what it does is that it puts in a reporting mechanism so that the Department of Environmental Quality shares information with the new office on non-point source nutrient credits that have the potential to affect agriculture and forestry. And so again, this is just making sure that one office knows what the other office is doing. Since we know that over the last couple of years, this has been an area where there's been a good deal of consideration and discussion about. So this is an initiative of the Farm Bureau. I'm aware of no opposition. There is a budget amendment that reflects the shift from the departments. It's revenue neutral, but do know that it has to go up to appropriations to ensure that all of the line items go ahead and match up correctly. And that's the bill, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. To the patron, so what I'm hearing from the patron is, well, I don't have a letter.
You do not have a letter?
Look at it again upstairs on 12, is that right?
I think you do have a letter, correct? You do not have a letter. Okay. The letter might be coming.
Okay, we'll go ahead and send it
to
for further
full.
review. Okay, for full with a recommendation. All right, if it reports.
And then we can take it out if it doesn't need to go, but I'd be shocked if it didn't need to go.
All right. Thank you. Are there questions from the committee about this bill? Seeing none, we will go ahead. I think we don't need a lot of debate on this, so if we can go ahead and put a minute up for those who want to testify in favor of it, and then a minute for anybody opposed. But we won't start it until the sidebar is.
What's online doesn't have it. That, if we can get clarification of that, just because I committed to that.
So if we could, just to make sure that we got the correct amendment up online, so that do we have the third enactment clause? I think you all read it out. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Martha Moore, Virginia Farm Bureau. Yes, this was an initiative that we brought forward. We believe that the synergy between the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Forestry and creating the Office of Working Lands just makes a lot of sense from lots of different perspectives that the delegate has already mentioned, and I won't repeat that. So we would just appreciate your favorable consideration.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Cliff Williamson. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Agribusiness Council. We support this as it'll simplify the process and make it easier to be more effective.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, I'm Jim Riddell with the Virginia Cattlemen's Association. We probably occupy the largest share of acreage across the Commonwealth, and farmland and forest land protection is critical, important to us, and this is an excellent bill, and we sure appreciate the delegates for bringing it, so we support it wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Corey Connors with the Virginia Forestry Association. The conservation of working forest lands is important to supporting the third largest industry in the Commonwealth. We support the bill.
Thank you so much. That was perfect timing. Will those who have come
to that, Mr. Chairman?
That's very good. Will those who want to speak against the bill please step forward, testify this bill from this great member from the Committee on Appropriations? Looks like nobody wants to testify against your bill, Delegate Bulova, and I don't believe we have anybody online. Is that correct? All right, Delegate Wilt, the floor is yours. Did you have a question for the patron? All right, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Back on physical impact, could you wag a guess as to whether it would be positive? I mean, since hopefully we're combining some work here that might be a savings to the state.
Mr. Chairman, there very well could be some efficiencies. Right now, the fiscal impact statement shows it as being revenue neutral because you're taking positions and switching them over, and funds and switching them over. So, yeah, I agree there could be some efficiencies, but right now it's revenue neutral.
Thank you for that answer. Are there any further questions? All right, the committee operates by motion. It sounds like the appropriate motion would be to report and refer this to the Committee on Appropriations.
Move to report and refer to Committee on Appropriations as amended.
Second. All right, it has been moved and properly second to report and refer as amended to the Committee on Appropriations. The clerk will open the rolls. The clerk will close the rolls. House Bill 892 reports on a vote of 9-0. Thank you very much.
Chairman, thank you very much.
All right. In front of us next, sorry for the delay, House Bill 1354, Delegate Martinez. The floor is yours. And Delegate, my understanding is there is a substitute. Is that correct?
There is a substitute.
All right. Someone go ahead and move to the substitute. All right. It's been moved and properly seconded. The substitute, is that posted on LIS? Yes. All right. Thank you. House Bill 1350. Oh, wait. Actually, all those in favor of the moving the substitute, we shall say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. The substitute is properly before us. Delegate, please tell us about House Bill 1354.
Well, what I'll do is I'll start off with talking about the substitute, and I want to thank the chair and the committee for hearing me out. The substitute, what it did, it was in a previous section that was generalized, and we decided to move it after talking with some stakeholders to a section where it only impacts veterinarians. And my bill, House Bill 1354, is a bill prohibiting any procedure with the intent to remove the claws of an animal except in the event of therapeutic or otherwise necessary purposes. The bill enforces this prohibition through the Board of Veterinarians, meaning veterinarians who perform the procedure do so at the risk of losing their license. Claws are to animals like cats, fingertips are to humans. And this removal of them is comparable to the removal of the entire tip of your finger. HB 1354 seeks to protect against this pain by restricting the occurrence of the procedure through enforceable mechanisms.
All right, thank you. Are there questions for the patron? Seeing none, we'll go ahead. I know there's a lot. Go ahead, Delegate.
Mr. Chairman, can you, would the delegate get into some details about the organizations that are supporting his new substitute language?
I have a few of them here who would like to talk to you about that. Oh, and the ones I was talking to was Susan Seward, who is representing representatives of veterinarians around the state. She's president of Seward Consulting. And I do have Humane Society and others.
Humane Society, and who else?
I'll let them testify.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Go ahead. We've got 3 minutes on there. Yeah, let's add 3. I just know there's a lot. Oh, Delegate, before we do, I'm so sorry. Delegate Fowler, I didn't see it. Thank you, Delegate Class.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question for Delegate Martinez, but I think this bill is problematic. I'll just leave it at that. But I think most folks that I know that have cats as pets, you know, inside, right? They stay inside. They typically do not go outside. They obviously prefer their cats, particularly on the front paws where they do a lot of scratching, to be declawed, right? And so I'm just concerned about a lot of people may not longer want to have cats as pets if they cannot do that. So for that reason, I got a little bit of a problem with the bill. So I'll just leave it at that. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do you have a question? No, okay. We're speaking to the bill. All right. Let's go ahead and
Matt, Mr. Chairman, can I speak to that?
I will give you. I promise you're going to have a whole lot of people who are going to say great things about your bill, and I will give you the last word. All right, Delegate? And you might have some people say some mean things about your bill too, not just one delegate, but we'll see. All right, so we got three minutes up on the board for nice stuff about your bill, 3 minutes up for mean stuff about your bill, and then we'll do 2 minutes online for the nice stuff and 2 minutes for the mean stuff, and we'll give you a couple minutes at the end, and I'm sure there might be some more questions. All right. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Susan Seward with the Virginia Veterinary Medical Association, and we do want to express our thanks to the delegate for working with us and other stakeholders on the substitute. To Delegate Fowler's point, there are an increasing number of veterinarians who no longer perform this procedure as an elective one unless there has been an injury to the animal, an abscess, an infection, something that forces the procedure. So it's getting difficult, frankly, to find veterinarians who will perform it on an elective basis. So again, we appreciate the delegate getting this under the Board of Veterinary Medicine, where there is an adjudication process. If a veterinarian performs a procedure and there is a complaint about them performing that procedure, the Board of Vet Medicine will look at all of the evidence, look at the exemption in the bill for the health of the animal or the owner. Every once in a while this is done. If a cat owner has certain conditions, hemophilia, on blood thinners where bleeding is a real issue, on occasion HIV positive patients where there is a physician recommend on this. But those would be the exceptions, and again, it's handled at the Board of Vet Medicine level where we feel it's appropriate, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
James Turpin, representing Alley Cat Allies, and we thank Delegate Martinez for introducing this legislation. It's a positive step toward eliminating this cruel and inhumane process. Thank you.
Good afternoon again, members of the committee. Chair Helmer, I'm here on behalf of PETA, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Virginia Alliance for Animal Shelters. Declawing is not just the removal of the nail, it's actually an amputation of the first digit of every paw. And so if we were to get, essentially you would lose your nails, and it causes some behavioral issues. When I worked at an animal shelter, a lot of the cats who had been declawed were brought to us as biters because they felt very defensive not being able to use their claws. And heaven forbid, if they get outside, they are totally defenseless. So we do urge you to support the bill, and we thank the delegate for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, for the Richmond SPCA and the Virginia Federation of Humane Societies, we also support this bill. We also offer free behavior assistance for people who need to address the behavioral issues around declawing. There are other positive reinforcement ways to do that without an invasive and dangerous surgery. So we hope that you will move to report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Will those opposed to the bill please come on up? And here, Delegate, I thought people were going to come up and say mean things about your bill, but they may be online. They appear not to be online. I don't see anybody online in this list, but I know we're still figuring this out. Nobody for or against online, is that correct? No one online. All right, Delegate, as promised, you will have the last word, although I'll give the committee the option to ask any questions if they have them, so go ahead.
Well, what I wanted to say was a very long time ago when I was much younger, my wife and I first got married and we had a cat, and we had it declawed. And that was the biggest mistake I think we've made in doing that, because the cat was never the same. And like all cats, they like to get out and explore, and this one got out and was attacked and had no way to defend itself. And so I felt that I could never do that again to any animal. And so we have owned cats. We still have a cat that likes to be my dinner table centerpiece. Just sits right there in the middle of the dinner table. We could never think about declawing it. And so what we've done is, as was mentioned, behavioral. We've been on top of it. And in the past, when we had cats that just wouldn't learn, we had to take them to the veterinarian, had them their claws trimmed, and I don't know, what do you call that, sanding it down? and so, you know, there are ways to do this. I think that unless it is therapeutic to save the cat's foot, claw, whatever, that we shouldn't be doing this to animals. It's cruel, and I'm an animal lover, and anything we can do to prevent any kind of cruelty to animals is something I would support.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Wilt, did you want to speak to the bill, or did you have a question?
Question for the patron?
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You say we, so you're still married?
42 years. By the way, it's my second marriage. She just managed to pick the right guy for her first.
Thank you. And if you can stay married to a Marine for 42 years, well, Air Force.
Vietnam era. Well, what I should have started the presentation is I am a Vietnam era veteran and Space Force fan and grandfather of a Marine.
There you go. There you go. Well, with that,
and if that helps with the vote.
Well, Delegate Martinez, I think you got everybody, a veteran and grandfather of a Marine. So I wouldn't talk anymore. The committee operates by motion. It has been moved to report. It has been moved to report with the substitute and properly seconded. The clerk will open the rolls. All right, Delegate, the clerk will close the rolls. Delegate Martinez, congratulations. Your bill reports with a substitute on a vote of 7-1. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you,
Thank you. Give me 1 second because we're just working through technology being slow today up here. All right, Delegate Weber left us for a second. Delegate Bloxham, are you ready yet, or do you need more time?
No, sir. I think.
You think we're ready? Okay, go ahead, Delegate Bloxham. Floor is yours. It's House Bill 1466.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The bill before you will not be the finished product. We've been in discussions, and the Mines and Minerals just joined us in that discussion. The problem.
Oh, and do you have an amendment or a substitute?
Not yet, Mr. Chairman. We're still in negotiations over the final verbiage. House Bill 1466. This is drawn to the Eastern Shore specifically. We're trying to incentivize our farmers to use surface water. We are a sole source aquifer. So the problem we're having is in the ponds that we are digging, the farmers are digging, Mines and Minerals are coming in for sand, telling us that it is a mining operation. So what our farmers are doing, they're just backing away and not doing this. What I tried to do in the bill was exempt the Eastern Shore from Mines and Minerals inspections. But that creates another problems where we actually mine for sand. And now the loophole that it opened would let a sand miner say they're a farm pond. So Farm Bureau, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, and Mines and Minerals think they've figured out a fix. What I'm asking for is for this bill to move forward, and the fix will be at the full committee.
All right. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the patron? All right. Anybody here to testify? Actually, if everybody can just come up who's going to testify for or against or somewhat neutral on this bill, I'd love to just, we'll do this a little out of order. If you can just tell us who you are, where you represent, where we are on the bill.
Yeah, Jay Ford, Chesapeake Bay Foundation, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Delegate Bloxham did an excellent job explaining the issue. We support his effort of trying to move some of our agricultural operations to using surface water. As he indicated, we have significant groundwater concerns on the shore, so this is a positive move. We just want to make sure that we get the right size solution and don't end up with an unintended consequence, and we're confident that we're going to be able to figure something out by full next week.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Martha Moore, Virginia Farm Bureau. I'm part of that conversation, and I won't repeat what Jay just said, but we concur with that, and we're working on the language as we speak.
All right, thank you. I don't see anybody to testify online. So this is what if the subcommittee would entertain this, and I'll wait for a motion. If somebody was going to move to report this, move it up to committee, I'll vote against it just so it doesn't fly through accidentally. That'll just make sure it gets flagged, and then we'll have time.
Yes, ma'am, Mr. Chairman. And if we can't get to an agreement, I've been known to spike my own bill. So I'll take care of it if you.
Perfect. So if someone,
I move to report the bill.
All right.
Second.
All right, it's been moved, properly seconded to report the bill. Clerk will open the rolls.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Delegate Bloxham. HB 1466 reports on a vote of 6 to a 1, a slight 1. All right, thank you. All right, next in front of us, apologies, is, we don't have Delegate Weber back yet. Delegate Tran has already gone. So Delegate Garrett, you are up next. And if someone could just text Delegate Weber too, and I know he's going to present, tell him he's got about 5 minutes. We'll go at ease if we need to, but.
Mr. Chairman, I can't thank you enough for that. I actually texted Delegate Weber, and I appreciate the sentiment of the chair that he would go at ease. House Bill 1382 is indicative of the world that we live in, where things change quickly enough that our code, which is very, very comprehensive, sometimes misses things because there are new things. I didn't know, Mr. Chair, that there was a misbranded food section of the code. By the way, as I dropped the ball, there is an amendment in the nature of a substitute. I have copies.
All right, there's an amendment in the nature of a substitute. Has that amendment been posted to LIS yet? All right, so it's, give us 1 second. It's just a little slow because it doesn't pop on iHod. Do you have any hard
Trees are already dead. Yeah, I got the copies for everybody if they're old like me.
Would you mind passing out the copies? That would save us a few seconds. Thank you so much.
So I didn't even know there was. No problem. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Delegate.
In the process of learning about cell-cultured edible product, I learned that there was a misbranded food section of the Code of Virginia. Cell-cultured edible product is product derived from a circumstance wherein you take protein cells from meats, you take fat cells from meats, from animal connective tissue, etc., and you culture these essentially in a petri dish, and then you 3D print them into what test marketers have deemed are appetizing shapes and colors to replicate meat. It is not meat. It is a replication of meat using cell-cultured edible products. And so this raises a number of questions that are relatively new as this technology emerges. First is a question of conscience. I've been blessed to have, I don't even know how many times I've been in and out of the Middle East. I got a lot of friends in Iraqi Kurdistan. And the question that I've had during a phone conversation with one of them is this halal? I don't know. Is it kosher? Right? So it's a question of conscience. It's a question of disclosure. It's not meat, but it's made from meat cells. So I can imagine a world where marketing people will say, hey, it's not meat. No animals were killed in the making of this product, right? But if you're vegan, does it violate your conscience? If you're vegetarian? I would argue that it does, and I would argue that marketing in a world where we have more and more people choosing to make those lifestyle decisions would encourage that mislabeling. And finally, I would argue it's a question of safety. I'm sure that the members of this committee are familiar with tick-borne illness. Sort of the most recent one to emerge, at least in the area of the state I represent, is alpha-gal, which is an allergy to mammal meat products. While this is not meat, while these are cell-cultured edible products made from meat, we believe that it would trigger alpha-gal symptoms, which can include everything from diarrhea and nausea to shortness of breath, hives, and horrific stomach pains. So you have a question of conscience. Is it kosher? Is it halal? You have a question of disclosure. Is it vegetarian? Is it vegan? We have a question of safety. Is it going to trigger alpha-gal because it was mislabeled? So what does this bill not do, which is very important, I'm sure, to the members of this committee? It doesn't prohibit anything. What does it not do? It does not impact any plant-based products. It impacts only cell-cultured edible products as defined in the amendment. It doesn't restrict people's ability to make decisions for themselves, but instead informs people's ability to make decisions for themselves by allowing these products to be properly identified, not as meat, but as cell-cultured edible products. With that, I'd yield to any questions of the members of the committee, and I'm delighted to have a broad base of supporters who I think like to speak in favor of the bill. And by the way, if anybody wants to join on this bill as a patron or chief patron, it's not about me. I don't have to pass it. You want to steal the bill, take it. I just think this is a good policy for the Commonwealth of Virginia. So.
Thanks, Delegate.
Thank you.
I don't see any questions from the committee at this time. Oh, I do see a question from the committee at this time. Go ahead, Delegate Glass.
I'm curious. I always come from a place of curiosity because for the delegate, I heard in your testimony that it could, were you being questioning that it could cause this alpha-gal, am I saying that right? Or alpha-gal, this is new to me, right, from curiosity, or is this something that is actually causing it?
So we know what causes alpha-gal reactions, and that is mammal meat consumption. It's funny, alpha-gal works differently than peanut allergies or shellfish allergies, which we already see labeled on our food products here in the Commonwealth. Insofar as you could eat a steak, for example, and get an alpha-gal allergy 4 to 6 hours later. So it's sort of a sleeper disorder where a lot of people have it and don't realize they have it. Given that we know that alpha-gal is caused by consumption of mammal meat and that cell-cultured edible products are made from petri dish grown mammal meat, it is believed, but the science isn't there, that it would trigger alpha-gal symptoms. If it doesn't trigger alpha-gal, frankly, maybe people want it to be labeled so that they know that they can eat a meat substitute that doesn't, but it ain't meat. But the answer to your question, Delegate Glass, is we think it would trigger alpha-gal. We do not know. And by the way, I'm not even, not only am I not a scientist, I don't even play one on TV.
Follow-up questions, last
go ahead.
station. Right, because I was trying to distinguish between if there's a real, because again, from a place of reality and perception, so there's no link, but there's no like CDC or anything that says there's a link between the two, because I would imagine that we would run not the risk of just having to talk about the cell cultured product, but then there would be a piece of this maybe that would need to have some, we've gone through labeling and things like that, that there's a hazard there of a possibility of there being a link between the two.
So this is conjecture on my part, right?
Okay, I was just making sure.
However, as alpha-gal becomes more, because I'd never myself heard of alpha-gal 5 years ago, and now I've met multiple people who suffer from alpha-gal. So if alpha-gal were to become more, because there were no, I'm old, there were no peanut allergies either when I was 10, but they're everywhere now. So it's something that might emerge as a bigger problem depending upon the curve as it relates to the emerging of this tick-borne illness.
All
Mr.
right.
Chair, I have a question.
Go
I
ahead,
did-
Delegate Lawfer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Real quickly, just administrative, I'm sorry, Delegate Lawfer, before I cut you off, the clerk has reminded me for the third or fourth time that thank you for being on top of it. That's not a dig. That we are all talking about the substitute, but we have not adopted it. The substitute has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of adopting the substitute we're already talking about, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We are now looking at the substitute.
Thank you,
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Chair.
Delegate
Question for the patron. Is the FDA going to be labeling anything, or the USDA? Is there any recommendations from those federal agencies?
So I might bring Jim Riddell from the Cattlemen's Association forward because he informed me today that there is a rumbling that the federal government may begin to look at this. I would argue that we don't need to wait for them to do what's right for Virginians, be they vegetarians or people of faith restrictions or dietary restrictions based on illness. But right now there's not action that I'm aware of, but I anticipate it would happen.
Actually, follow up just to.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts, but obviously this is something that consumers would want to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Clark, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Does have a motion at a proper time?
We're gonna go ahead and allow testimony and a few other things before we get to motions. And there's some online. We've got a lot of interest in this. So seeing the line behind you, but knowing that it is getting late in the subcommittee hour, let's go ahead and put 3 minutes on the clock for those who want to testify on behalf of this bill. 3 minutes for those who want to testify against, and then we'll do. It looks like we have one person each online, so a minute each online. Thank you. Go ahead.
Jim Riddell, representing the beef producers of Virginia, and to answer Delegate Lawfer's question, there is a bill with several sponsors at the federal level going on right now. It's been introduced related to this labeling and definition of cell culture and so forth. But this bill, again, I'm with Virginia Cattlemen, and we support the bill. This is a misbranding of food bill, and this bill will help end deceptive labeling practices on fake meat products and ensure that consumers know exactly what they are buying. Virginia farmers, you'll hear me say, work hard every day to bring a high-quality, wholesome product to market. And this is an important first step to making sure consumers understand the differences between lab-grown products and meat and beef raised by farmers across Virginia. This ensures that consumers know where their food comes from. Approximately 30,000 livestock producers produce meat across the Commonwealth, but again, we support the bill.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, committee members, my name is Cliff Williams. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Agribusiness Council. We stand in support of this bill. Clarity and transparency is important for consumers. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman, Jake Tabor, Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. We support this bill.
Thank you very much.
Susie Crows from Virginia Independent Consumers and Farmers Association. We believe that this bill offers truth in labeling, and we support the bill.
Thank you so much.
Dan LaFever, Nelson County, and Virginia Independent Consumer and Farmer Association.
think consumers need the right to know what they're consuming. And at this point, we have no idea what the long-term health effects of eating this would be, and the environmental effects of producing it may be far worse for climate than very carefully controlled, rotating, grass-fed beef and other animals.
Thank you, sir. And we appreciate the pickle shirt. All right. Are there those who are here to speak in opposition to the bill? All right. Seeing none in the room, I know we have one for and one opposed online. Okay. So can you go ahead and let those folks in? And Mr. Bauhan, and I hope I got your name right, sir. I'm sorry.
Yes, Hobie Bowen. I'm president of Virginia Poultry Federation. Appreciate the chance to speak on this. As an industry, we feel that there needs to be rigorous regulation through USDA and through FDA as well. And in the meantime, we are very supportive of the measure that Delegate Garrett has brought forth. So we appreciate it if you would go ahead and report that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Jamali, wrapping us up in the testimony.
Hi, thank you, Chair Helmer, members of the committee. Thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Drake Jamali. I'm with the Good Food Institute, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to fostering a secure and innovative food system. First, I'd just like to say we, along with the entire all-protein industry, support transparency and consumer understanding of the foods they purchase, especially the ones that are conventionally produced. Companies in this space are not in the business of misleading consumers. We believe this bill would create a patchwork of laws that could inhibit innovation and the free market in the future. And just want to focus on the bill as we believe that it would be premature and could set Virginia at odds with the USDA's clear authority over the labels for cell-cultivated and cultured products. They've actually given authority to 2 companies to sell their products in the U.S. now, and they've labeled it as cell-cultivated chicken. The USDA approves these labels on a case-by-case basis, and Virginia should at least wait for the USDA to give further guidance before setting these rules. Similarly, other states like Texas and Oklahoma have done something, and they're actually in active litigation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jamali. We really appreciate it. Are there further questions from the committee? Are you speaking to the bill, or you got a question?
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion at the proper time.
Let's hold off for a second on that. Delegate, go ahead. You got the last word.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Did I just hear the individual testifying online saying that they're in litigation right now?
Yeah, Texas.
Not to my knowledge. I know that 7 states have already done this. I wish we were the first, but I'm not aware of any litigation, and I haven't heard a word from Mr. Jamali until just now. So I thought there was peace in the valley on this.
All right. Thank you, Delegate. Seeing that, I think Delegate Lopez, did you want to? Was that the? All
is
right.
there someone here in the audience who could speak to that issue?
So there is. It seems that
Hold on, Delegate Lawfer. We'll make sure we keep everything in order. Appreciate it. No, there's nobody here who can speak to that. Delegate Clark, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a motion at the proper time.
Go ahead, Delegate Clark.
It looks like that this bill refers to a lot of existing federal code inherent with what's happening with the USDA. I think we should take that motion and wait for guidance. So I do move to PBI this bill.
Mr. Chair,
Hold
there's literally no existing federal code. That's the
Delegate. Hold on. There's been a motion. Is there a second for that motion? It's been moved to PBI the bill.
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded to PBI the bill. There's 2 minutes for that conversation. Delegate, go ahead. The floor is yours.
I would love someone to point me to the existing federal code. There's literally no existing federal code. 7 states have done this. A guy parachutes in who no one's ever heard of in the room after Farm Bureau, the Cattlemen's Association, the Poultry Association, the beef farmers all say this is a good bill. And then we go, oh, well, there might be federal legislation. I think the proper move might be to continue this to the full committee, Mr. Chair, but I'd love to see the existing federal regulation that covers this. The fact that there might be someone who's submitted a bill, I don't know a lot about Washington, but I do know that people submit bills that sit for 5, 6, 10, 20 years and never get heard before a committee, let alone before the full House. It's never too soon to inform people in Virginia what they're eating. It is totally fair to people based on their faith, their cultural norms, their health needs, to tell them this is a cell culture edible product or this is meat. And so, again, I invite someone to show me the federal code that already exists, but I think that was a misstatement, an out-and-out falsehood even, to say that exists.
All right, thank you, Delegate. There's 2 minutes. Would anybody like to speak to the bill? Go
I have a
ahead.
substitute motion when it's appropriate.
Delegate, well, we need to finish debating the motion to PBI. Is there anybody else who wanted to speak?
Well, I'll speak to. I don't want to violate federal, but we don't know enough. So, okay, maybe I can't anymore. But I certainly don't want to put Virginia in a position where we have to litigate this. So if we don't have enough information, so.
All right, thank you. Did you have an alternative motion?
To pass by until 2025, or?
Continue. All right, hold on 1 second.
I don't understand how you just lied to the committee.
Delegate, I appreciate the substitute motion. That's out of order. The motion before us is to PBI. The clerk will open the rolls. Thank you. No, it's fine. All right. Motion before us is to PBI. The clerk will open the rolls. All right, thank you, Delegate. The motion to PBI, House Bill 1382, carries in a vote of 6-4. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members who worked very hard with me to get us to this point.
All right, thank you. We have 2 bills. Yeah, go ahead, Delegate. I don't think there's anybody. You're it. So you can present from here or present from there, wherever you prefer.
Which would you like first, Mr. Chairman?
Whichever you want to go. Gambler's choice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were on meat labeling, so I think we'll take a break from that for a minute, Mr. Chairman.
You want to be topical? Okay, let's do soybeans.
Yes, sir.
All right,
yes, sir.
1377, Delegate Weber, soybeans board assessment.
Yes, sir.
Soybeans, go for
So
it.
basically, literally what this bill does, it aligns Virginia with the 1990 Farm Bill that already requires a 0.5% net sales price per bushel soybeans to go to the soybean board. Currently, Virginia code is different from that, and so what it 0.02, and so what it does is puts it at the 0.5% that we have currently been assessing at the federal level. So the soybean producer doesn't actually see any change.
Mr. Chair, move to report. Move to report, properly seconded, House Bill 1377. Go ahead and open the rolls, Mr. Clerk.
No comment.
All right, it's been moved. The clerk will close the rolls. The motion was to report House Bill 1377. It carries on a vote of 10-0. We may need to look in full ag whether that needs to go elsewhere.
All right. Well, after that brief reprieve.
All right, meat.
Yeah.
House Bill 1460 is before us. The Virginia verified meat. Is there a? Did you have a?
There is an amendment, I believe.
Okay.
Correct.
Can the clerk report the amendment, please?
Mr. Chairman, on line 25, introduced after C, we're striking that language. So on remainder of line 25 and all of lines 26 and 27. And we're inserting any person not employed by the department shall be eligible to certify Virginia verified meat claims consistent with the provisions of this chapter with approval by the commissioner and shall provide documentation of his certification process to the commissioner for the commissioner's approval.
All right, so keep me out of trouble. Does somebody want to move that amendment? Second. All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of moving the amendment shall say aye. Aye. All those opposed shall say no. The amendment, the bill and the amendment are before us. If you could go ahead and speak to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, what 1460 seeks to do is establish, similar to what they are currently doing in Oklahoma, which is a Virginia verified meat product or beef product. And what that would mean is that you would have essentially a product that is born, raised, fed, and processed in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and so therefore it is a true Virginia product, and it would be labeled as such. The reason we have the amendment is that with VDAX, then they would authorize a third party to do some of the verification. It could be, and others will speak to it, but it could be like the Cattlemen's Association or various breed associations that would be the verification agency to verify that meat was indeed, born, raised, fed, and processed in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And due to the amendment, it actually lowers the cost, at least from what I understood with VDAX. We do have a budget amendment in to help cover the costs that we believe that it would take them to at least access the third-party verification. So that's what the bill does, Mr. Chairman, essentially.
All right, thank you. Are there questions for the patron? Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So some folks I've been speaking with about this bill, and meaning no harm to it, but how do you actually track that something is bred in Virginia, and how do you verify that?
Delegate.
You have to be at least born in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
How do you verify that?
Thank you. Just a reminder for everybody.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. Some of that would be self-verification, and it would also be, so if you have like the Cattlemen's Association or a various breed association doing the verification, they would also know that they would know the producer. So like, for instance, all of my beef is like super local because it's all born, raised, fed, processed, and everything is in Fauquier County. I should amend this to say, Fauquier verified beef. But essentially, the third party would know that producer and understand where that producer gets their product from.
Thank you. Delegate Lawfer, go ahead.
That's a follow-up question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Following up from Delegate Lopez's questions, who is the third-party verifier?
It is who, Mr. Chair, I would say that it is who VDAX then would partner with in order to verify. So in the case of for instance, you could have, say, the Cattlemen's Association they have sales representatives that are involved in many of the sale barns across the Commonwealth, and they also have known the producers, and so that those folks could be the verifiers. You also have various representatives from the breed associations themselves. The Hereford Association has their own representatives and board, and they would then also have the ability to set up someone who would be able to verify that would be indeed a Virginia verified product. And what it is essentially it's the producers, the various meat producers saying that this is a Virginia product. It's a little different. In that it would be an opt-in. So if you want to take advantage of the program, you could. Otherwise, you're kind of left to your own devices.
All right, thank you. The time is late. The people are hungry. If you could put 90 seconds on the clock, and we will take testimony in favor of this bill. We will do a minute. That's fine. We'll do a minute. Thank you. All right. Those who are here in favor of the bill, please go ahead and let's go ahead and.
Jim Riddell again with the Virginia Cattlemen's Association, and to address Delegate Lopez and Delegate Lawfer's questions, there would be an affidavit that goes along with these animals that the producer would sign, and then as it goes on, if there's a question or a complaint, that's where Virginia Department of Ag gets involved, and they would be the auditor, if you will, to make sure that this is being done correctly. So it's a voluntary program. Every producer is not going to get involved, and these are going to be producers that are producing, that they're born, bred, raised, and processed. And it's Virginia meat, and there's as you know, there's a demand for that. There's a real push for buy local, grow local, source verified, farm to table. This program really fits well in the Department of Ag's program to raise meat production and sustain it. So it's a program along that line.
Thank you so much, sir. I just want to make sure we gave everybody else.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to say it's not just beef; it's pork, lamb, and goats. And it's about 30,000 livestock producers.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
We definitely support the bill.
All right. Well, I did curtail us. Let's go ahead and put one more minute on there so everybody can testify. Thank you.
Cliff Williamson with the Virginia Agribusiness Council. We support this bill. Again, it provides opportunity and transparency for consumers.
Thank you so much.
Jake Tabor, Virginia Farm Bureau, and we support this bill.
Thank you very much.
Charlie Broada, State Veterinarian with VDAX. The administration supports the bill.
That's great. All those here to testify against the bill? It has just been a very pro day in Ag Sub. Go ahead.
Dan LaFever, representing Virginia Independent Consumer and Farmers Association. We are not at all opposed to promoting local production of meats. The only thing we're concerned about is that this should be funded by producers' organizations, and we don't see any reason why the government has to be spending money to support this program. Many other producer organizations, such as the Apple Marketing Boards and that, basically assess their members and then do that marketing through their own funds.
Thank you very much. All right, I know we do not have testimony online, is that correct? All right, we do not have testimony online. Delegate Weber, could you speak to that last point about doing an assessment? Because you just did do the assessment.
Yeah, so essentially, I think it was stated earlier, VDAX would be the arbiter if there was indeed a case where you had some issues or complaints, but other than that, it would be the third party that we've discussed that would be the verifier. And some of those, that third party, the Cattlemen's Association, et cetera, would actually could be funded through the cattle fund that we've got, because in the Commonwealth, you are assessed 50 cents a head at the sale barn for that fund, and that fund then the Beef Council awards grants and programs to market Virginia beef. So, for instance, that would be a case where a association could apply for funds to actually employ the people that would implement the program.
Thank you, Delegate. And I think appropriations will get to have a good look at this.
Yes, sir.
Because you got the amendment to go with it to check on that. So
yeah, there's still a little bit of cost, just not as much as there used to be.
All right, Delegate Willett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we report this bill as amended and refer it to appropriations.
Second.
All right, it has been moved to report and refer the bill as amended to the Committee on Appropriations. The clerk will open the rolls. The folks will vote on their electronic voting boards. All right, the clerk will close the rolls. House Bill 1460 reports in a vote of 9-0. That concludes the work of this committee, this subcommittee prior to crossover. Thank you, everybody, for all of your hard work. I will see you in a couple of weeks. The committee shall rise.